Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to more 360 flashbacks. In fact, it's not a 360 flashback today, it is a Nintendo 64 flashback from 1995. This is a fan favourite, GoldenEye 007. We're going to get our James Bond on MI5 stuff today, and yeah, this was a fan favourite that's only just been re-released on Xbox and Nintendo. Hope you're going to enjoy it, or you'll see what all the hype's about. Let's do it! Okay, we're going to do something a little bit different today, and I'm going to talk to you about this game and why it was regarded as so important in the gaming genre. Now, full disclosure, I never actually owned a Nintendo ever. I never had a Game Boy, I never had an NES, I didn't have a Nintendo ever. I was a Sega Master System guy, so I never actually got to play this game. And it was based on the James Bond film released in 1995 called GoldenEye. In fact, the game didn't come out to 1997 on a Nintendo 64, and it was an absolute revolution for FPS shooters, first person shooters. Why so? Because it was the first FPS to turn up on console. Up until that point, first person shooters had been kind of completely the PC realm, and so this kind of broke the mold and gave you the opportunity to play a first person shooter on console. And I guess it then set the groundwork for other series like Call of Duty and whatnot, but this is the first, and so it was really felt as though it was an iconic game. And I've spoke to a few people that remember playing this early on in its life cycle, and they talk about it with a lot of fondness. You can just tell they absolutely loved this game. And having talked to a few people that have played this game, then they talked about the fact that they could actually play it with their friends on a very unique split screen, which again, in 1997 was a pretty unique gaming experience. And so, yeah, it was a very kind of cooperative, not only a first person shooter, but a co-op first person shooter in multiplayer with split screen, and it was a different gaming experience to what most gamers had in the past. Now, GoldenEye was known for its very concise movement and aiming controls. The development team was able to craft a game that was balanced in movement, speed, and custom aiming mechanics. Mind you, the Nintendo 64 had a joystick back then. I think playing it on Xbox now, it's probably quite a different game, but certainly even back then it felt as though it was a very balanced kind of auto aiming, manual aiming, movement was all kind of worked. So it was quite revolutionary. It was pretty faithful to the GoldenEye movie and the franchise. The feel of the game was very much around that movie in 1995, and it had that flavour of the James Bond franchise overall. So we're showing you on screen at the moment, we're showing you the GoldenEye campaign, and that has 18 single player missions with 2 secret missions and 3 different gameplay difficulties, each of the missions containing differing mission objectives depending on selected difficulty. This offered the game an immense amount of reliability, or replayability I should say. Shooting for specific times could lead you to some special unlocks, which brings us to the fact that it was one of those old school games, this kind of game that I grew up with, and that kind of game where if you happen to expire or die, you had to go all the way back to the start and start the level again. Yeah, that's right. It's very similar. I mean, I was a big Tomb Raider fan back then, and that was so frustrating. There was no checkpoints. You had to go through the level in one go without being killed, or you had to start it all over again. No save points, no checkpoints, nothing like that. So, yeah, that was a thing. So the game has gone through a little bit of a change as we've got older. You know, they produced a GoldenEye 007 Reloaded for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The series went on to add Golden Rogue Agent and GoldenEye on the Nintendo Wii and DS. But this one is the original, and they've adapted it, as I said earlier, for the Xbox. It plays very well. I enjoy it. I enjoyed my time in this game very, very much. So as you can see, the graphics on this game are, well, a little bit dated for today's standards, but actually quite like it because it takes you back to that time of gaming if you're old enough to remember it, and it really, you get immersed into it, strangely enough, and it shows you if you have a good game. The graphics aren't the key thing. I mean, the graphics help with the modern day games now, but the way that this game is set up and the kind of storyline and the challenge, and that was one thing that I found with this game when I was playing it, is the fact that there are no prompts, there are no clues. You really have to figure out what's going on, and having not played it ever, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what was going on, and I think I died a couple of times before I was able to figure out what my progression should be, because as you can see, there isn't really a mini-map or anything, any guidance. You've just sort of got to figure it out for yourself, and like I said, if you die, then you got to restart the map all over again. But that is the challenge, I guess. That was the challenge of these games, and I got to tell you, it's not an easy game to play to start with, because don't forget, like I said, it was on a joystick, now it's on a controller, and really, yeah, there is some disparity there as far as the way that it plays, but it actually plays very smoothly. You can pick it up pretty easily and figure it out, but I didn't complete the mission on the gameplay I'm showing you. I couldn't figure out how to finish the mission. Thank God for YouTube and walkthroughs to help you out here, and you might need them if you decide to pick this game up. Which prompts another thing, and it prompts another reason why gaming for XP ever existed. It was these type of games and trying to figure them out, and the immense work that people used to do with walkthroughs. And back then there was no YouTube, it was all written down and it was step by step. But people that, like creators back then, would spend the time to write a walkthrough for you so that you could figure out what was going on. And I forgot about that, and that has inspired me to have my own YouTube channel as for the future, I guess, all these years later, to help gamers, because the people that used to put those walkthroughs together helped me immensely with certain games. And with these type of games in this genre game, you would most definitely get to the spot where you had no idea how to get past it, and so sometimes you needed some help just to figure out how to progress. Again, some of the movement in this game is a little bit janky, I'm not going to lie. The one good thing is, and it was the nature of how they used to make games back in the 90s or early on in the video gaming cycle, is that the enemies pretty much all spawn in the same spot every time. So if you die, it's not a biggie. You are a bit more informed on how to get through the level, where to look for the enemies. The enemies don't have a huge amount of health either, they're not super accurate, depending on what level you're on. Some of the buttons, as well as you just saw that you have to press, can be a bit touchy to play, to try and hit and figure out. The buttons can be a bit awkward at times. You just got to get the right angle. But overall, I'm not complaining. I just love playing these old games and just seeing what all the fuss was about all those years ago, and I can see why this one would adore so many fans. Even to this day, people really, really love this game. So I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. If you did play this game and you enjoyed this game, why you enjoyed this game, what was it that was so fascinating about this game? If you haven't, pick it up, guys. I guess with the way that PlayStation is now, they have a whole back catalogue of PlayStation 3 games, so you may never know. You might be able now to play it on PlayStation 4 or 5. You can certainly play it on Xbox One or Xbox Series X or S. Pick it up as a 360 game. Because it's an old game, it doesn't really cost that much money, and yeah, it's a great amount of fun just for a little bit of nostalgia. But don't be fooled, it is still a very good playable game, and just because it's, you know, how old is that? That's 97, 2017. It's 20 plus years old and it's still going strong. 26 years, is that right? And it's still a very playable game. You just got to look past the fact of how old it is, I guess. A bit like me, really. So I'm going to leave it there as far as me waffling on about the game and talking about it, and I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the footage that I came up with. We are not successful with the mission, but I did want to put the footage out there just so you get a feel for the game, and if you are kind of looking for something to play, well, why not consider playing this one? Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like. I love to read your comments, especially on this game if you have played it and you do love it. And we'll catch you next time on the channel. See ya.